Awesome. I bet you can hear me now. Thank you. Uh, uh, I've been talking, just kind of like just talking. So, for the, I fixed it. I'm not muted anymore. So, yeah. Uh, cool. All right. As I was saying, nobody heard because I like to talk to dead air all the time. Uh, yeah. So we got this August 18th. Really cool. Love it. If you want to get this stuff, yes, thank you. I'm glad you can hear me. So to start off, the plan was we were going to play this tonight, and now I'm going to go this whole spiel again. We can't because Steele was unable to get a hold of his copy. He was supposed to have it Friday, but the store didn't have it. They showed him the stuff. They were like, yeah, it's coming in on Monday. And then he realized when he went to get it today, the store is closed on Monday. So he's getting it tomorrow. So what we're going to do is we're going to stream the Next Evolution campaign starting tomorrow. So we're a few days behind everybody else, but it's fine. We will have a good time doing it. The plan is that we will play the starter decks as they are through scenario 1 on expert difficulty, because we are curious to see if these decks are up to snuff as much as it seems like they are, because they did a really good job at building these decks. So that being said, there's a lot of really cool stuff that's coming down the pipe. It started with this one, the Next Evolution, and it's very cool to have. My other spiel that I was going into was if you want to get a hold of this stuff like on the day of, you can get a subscription through Team Covenant. No, they are not sponsoring me in any way whatsoever. I just have a subscription with them, and that's how I get my stuff on the day of, and I think it's great. It does cost a little bit extra to get the product because you're paying for shipping and handling, but I feel like it's worth it if you're really into this game. You can get a subscription to it. It's going to be guaranteed at your door on the day of release. It's really nice. Speaking of day of release, and this is a thing of hot contention for me personally, it's just the way my mind works and how I view things, right? So I'm going to go into this tirade, and many of you may not like it, or you may agree with me. Who knows? We'll see. But through this last month or so, we were waiting for the Next Evolution to come up, and we've gotten some official spoilers from FFG to the community of content creators, and they've been putting out cards here and there like, hey, this is something cool that's coming up and all that stuff. We got these spoiler things from FFG for Angel and Psylocke and Deadpool and X-23 and the Next Evolution. Like, it was really cool that they were engaging with the community of content creators to show this product that they are very proud of, right? But what happened was a couple weeks ago, a few places put the product on the shelf before street date, right? Okay, cool. They screwed up. They didn't pay attention to what's going on. They're a store and they have their stuff, and they didn't, get a notice of, this is the street date, so they weren't paying attention. They just like, hey, here's a product, put it on the shelf. Great. And so that's good. The issue I have is not necessarily with the store itself, where, they should be keeping on top of their product, but I can understand there's a lot of product they have going through. But the content creators that got a hold of that product early and then blasted all of the cards to the community like immediately upon receiving, before actual street date, unofficially, like that kind of hurts, guys. Like, I did not agree with your decision making on that process, because the developers of this game, which I love to play, were working with content creators to say, hey, let's spark some interest, let's create some hype, let's, you know, show off some of these cards that we have, you know. And they're contacting people and like, hey, go ahead and talk about this one. And lo and behold, they just, people out there got a hold of the product early and were like, bam, here's next evolution, everything. Bam, here's Angel, everything. Bam, here's Psylocke, everything. And it's like, dude, we're not even supposed to have Angel till next month, like in September. We're not supposed to have Psylocke till next month in September. So what's going to happen? Like, next month we're going to get those cards and then they're going to blast out like, oh, here's X-23 and here's Deadpool. It's like, no, I don't want that. I don't want to know what's happening before it happens unofficially. I don't want to get the whole pack spoiled before I get to see it myself. Because there's part of like what drives the hype of the game is speculation. Like, what's coming? What's going to be there? What's going to be in that pack? And that's what I want to know. And then, oh, well, I'm going to get that pack and I'm going to open it up and bam, look at that's super cool. Like what that card, what that guy comes with. And like I was, I was watching Nelson today and like it popped in my head. I was like, oh, it would be really cool if Deadpool came with the an honorary X-Force, they're X-Force, right? Yeah, X-Force, an honorary X-Force card, because that's like, you know, in the Deadpool movies, he's like, oh yeah, I'm creating this team, right? And it's like, that's cool. And he was like, on the stream there was somebody who was like, oh yeah, that's coming in Angel. And I was like, but I don't remember seeing that in the official. Oh, that must have been an unofficial one, right? And they're like, oh yeah, somebody's got it all on Reddit. I was like, yeah, I don't pay attention to that stuff. Like, you just ruined my speculation. I was like, oh, Deadpool's gonna come with that, right? Because it'd be cool. He was like, hey, Peter, come on and join us. You're in the club. But no, that's not what's gonna happen. It's coming with Angel, apparently. But like, that's what I mean. Like, you just spoiled something that would be really cool for me to speculate and hypothesize about, and now it's like, nope, it's already out there. Everybody already knows. Like, oh, okay, thanks. But yeah, that's part of the drive of the game and getting the product is like, you get to see the stuff for yourself and experience like opening that fresh hero pack and seeing all these really cool cards that you didn't get to see because, you know, FFG is only giving you little tidbits of information and you don't get to know what's actually coming with all of it. Like what all is going to be there. And they're like, no, it's here. It's already out there. Everybody can already see it. There's people already using them. Like it hurts a little bit. And okay, so that's my tirade over. Done. That's all I have to say about it. I disagree, and that's it. Yeah. Yes, Brant did. Brant waited for the street date, and he's one of the store owners that's like, he's, well, not a store owner, but he works at the store and is, I consider him like the dude of the store, but what I guess, but yeah, so he's like, they're like in the, what do you call it? They're in tune with the community. They're in tune with the product enough to pay attention to when street dates are, and it doesn't seem like there's okay, I get Asmodee and FFG don't include papers with their products sometimes, or a lot of times. So, like, the store doesn't know that the thing's not in street date yet. But, like, dude, when you ordered it online and placed your order, it said right there, this is street date. This is release date. Your product is obviously going to come earlier than release date so that it's there for you to put on the shelves on release day. It doesn't mean that when the product gets to your store, throw it on the shelves immediately. No, you go back to your computer. Hey, we got this thing in. Where's that from? FFG? Okay, when did we? Okay. Oh, yeah, that street date is this day. 10 seconds and you got your answer. But no, you just like, here's the product, put it on the shelf, and then a content creator will be like, oh, cool. Or not even a content, it could be anybody. That's a cool thing. Oh, I'm into this game and I'm on, you know, Reddit, so there's all the information for everybody. Here's every card. Like, it just, and I avoid all the spoilers. I avoid all of it. I've like shut off the Discord, the spoiler section. I don't open anything in the Reddit for it. I just avoid it altogether because I don't want my naive innocence of what's coming to be disrupted. You know, it's part of the hype, part of the thing that drives me into this game. Like, and it's such a great game. Right, exactly. You could record it offline, and then you know when street date is because you're tuned into the community and you know when it's going to be. So wait till the street date. Why put it out there so early? Okay, you got it early. Good for you, man. Play it and enjoy it and have fun with it. But don't throw all the information at everybody else because you got it early. And there's people out there that like that want to know that information up front before everything else. I'm not one of them. And I feel like there's a lot of people that are just like me who don't want that information like that. They want just the drip feed from FFG, from the developers, the people who are proud of their product, and put it out there for people to see, and contact content creators on their own to say, hey, show off this card and generate some hype about, you know, what's coming. And while they're in the middle of doing that, you know, Joe Schmo is like already there. Like, so infuriating because there was like, they even the content creators that were like putting out the card were like, yeah, it's already spoiled, everybody's already seen it, but here's the card that FFG has given us the official spoiler for, and this is what it is and what it does, and it's really cool, and we're going to talk about it for a couple minutes. It's like, you just shot all of us in the foot because you wanted to do a thing on your own, and now all the rest of us are like, well, now they're not going to trust us. They were reaching out to the community of content creators to do a thing, and now they're not going to do that because now they know as soon as you get the thing, you're just going to throw it out there to everybody. And you just ruined it for all of us. Like, that's the thing. That's how I feel about it. Like, that's okay. I think I'm beating a dead horse here. Like, okay. I'm glad to get that off my chest. I wanted to just give my own 2 cents in my own venue to do so. And I may be alone on this, but that's just how I feel about it. And I'm going to drink some coffee. Now that I have you guys here, I am curious. I have been trying to work on lights and coloring and all that stuff, and I really want to know, okay, if you can see the things on my table clearly and if it's the right color, because it's a thing that it bothers me and I want it to work properly, you know. So I have all of this stuff out. So like this card here, it looks blue on this camera, but the other one may not be. But it's actually like a teal sleeve. It's teal in color. This is orange, very vibrant, bright orange. It does look orange on that camera, so that's good. And this is red, which looks red on that camera also. But the teal is kind of blue. Why does teal look blue? Oh, it might be because of the green screen thing. It's pulling out the green from it. So that's a thing, but that's on this camera, not the other one. FFG has a list. You think they do? They will do business with? That would be cool if they did. I'm not sure if they do 100% have that, or if they, or if they are generating lists currently. Like if they're taking content creators that have a good following, and they're like, hey, you want to show off this card? I feel like that's probably the route they're going currently, because this is a new thing. It's not something they've done before. This is like a brand new, just this wave that's come. that started with Next Evolution. This is the first time that they've contacted content creators to spoil officially cards that they are willing to show to the community beforehand. And I thought it was really, really cool that they were doing that. And it just, I felt so bad when all of a sudden cards were spoiled for full sets when they're in the middle of this whole process of like, let's create hype and talk to content creators and bring the community together and doing this thing. It is so detrimental to all of us by them doing it. It's like, not them, not FFG, but the individual content creators that did blast the stuff out before FFG like could even generate hype themselves, you know. But yeah, so okay, I'm gonna go down to the table and I want you to tell me how the colors look and if everything looks like good, right? Because I really want this stuff to work better. So let me drop here. There. Okay. So orange. These are all orange, red, and teal. Do these colors look these colors to you? And is it clear? Is there enough light? Is there too much light? Is it dark? Is it bright? I don't know. I don't know any of these things. You know? And then okay, so up here, that's where the chat box is, right? And then this whole area is basically where Steele would be when we do the game, right? And then like above here, this section is going to be his encounter card section, and this is mine, you know, that kind of setup. It works really well, but I need to know colors. Are the colors right? Because I'm trying so hard to get it perfect. Like, you know what I mean. You know what I'm talking about. Okay. So maybe we can talk about some of these cards while I'm in the process here. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be playing Domino, and Steele is going to play Cable. I actually tested these guys out on my own because I really wanted to know how they played. And you know, there's only so long one can wait before they get to play this, you know, when you get new stuff. I think these decks are made so well. Like, they did a really fantastic job in how they created this, these decks for these heroes. And this, just the first scenario was very like, it's very, I want to say thematic. I want to say there's like, you're fighting these guys who are attacking this group of mutants that are in hiding from the rest of the world, and it's like very cool how they did it. You're facing the random ones, so you know, pull it up randomly. You're keeping track of who it is that you defeat because the next one it matters, I guess. And I think they did a really great job, and I think that these are the best pre-con decks that I have seen in this game. Seriously. They really played for the hero that they were created for. There's not dead cards in it, you know? With the exception of a few, you know, because they always include extras of cards so that you can use them with other heroes, right? Because you basically have this set. You buy the Marvel Champions box, you buy this campaign box, and you get all these cards, and maybe you want to include, you know, Sharpshooter with Venom, right? Because he's got weapons and guns and stuff. Maybe you want it in him for whatever reason, right? Well, by having 3 of them, you can do that. You can basically tweak the deck and just take out the 2 sharpshooters you don't need, and now you have space for 2 more cards that you could just add to this deck, right? You don't need 3 sharpshooters in there. You could have 3 so that you guarantee you're going to get one, but it's not necessary. So that's one of the things you could do to just tweak the deck in one slightly little way just to make it better. Then there's, this is crazy. this is crazy stuff. This dude here, I want to see this guy played in a Black Panther deck. I think that would be cool. So he's a posse and he's Wakanda, right? So you can play this dude as a posse card for Domino because she likes her posse and she likes, you know, her discarding and grabbing cards and all of that. But he's also really, really good as a Black Panther dude because he's looking at the top card of a player deck, and if it's an event, you can deal 1 damage to Ellis Bear and add it to its owner's hand, right? Well, he's got 5 Wakanda Forevers in there, so you have a very good chance that using this guy with Black Panther, you're going to pull a Wakanda Forever when you exhaust him to look for it, right? And even if it's not, if it's any other event, you can still pull it and use it, whatever. It's such a great card for that guy, right? I think. And it's even optional too. If it's an event, you may deal a damage to Ellis Bear and add it to. So if you don't want that card, you just glad to know that it's a cool event that you could use later. Awesome, it's there. You can do it. It's such cool stuff. It's amazing that there's something in there that is going all the way back to the core box. Like, oh, I can use that in Black Panther from the core set, right? You know, it's really, really cool. The deck itself, for Domino, it's Justice. It's really well done. I mean, even 2-player, that's going to be a 4-cost card that's going to remove 6 threat. That is so awesome. Like 4 for 6. The only other thing, and it's not even just you that has to pay for it. You can pay 2, your partner can pay 2, and you know, there's the card. So nice. Player side schemes, really cool idea. I love that they're bringing this out. This is a new thing. I can't wait for more of them to come out, and they're coming. There's more coming, and that's going to be really neat. And my I don't know if the chat's still going. I should pull it up on my phone because, you know, sometimes it's not. And I know I'm just blabbering on today. This is what I'm doing today. Just gonna blabber. Okay, yeah. So it stopped. It stopped showing me information on what's going on with my chat box, which is really funny. Let's try this. How's the chat box now? Interact. Chat box current. Okay. So I have to pull up my phone so I can see what's happening here. It looks a lot more teal than on the other camera. Yes, it does. Thank you. Okay, Villain Theory saw the list. Late Night Gaming for Life 2023. Thank you very much. And Alice Bear is a she. Really? Oh, you're right. You know, for some reason, I thought it was in reference to. Do you ever see the Black Panther movies? I thought Alice Bear was like the one of the tribal leaders. I did not know. Never actually like paid attention to the art on the card. It's just like Atlas Bear. Yeah, it sounds like a very dude name. That's cool. I think everybody in the posse is a female, isn't it? I think that's the theme of the posse. I know Wolfsbane is a female. Yeah. That is, yep. That is a thing. That is a thing for the posse. I get it now. Girl power and domino. And she's very, very good at it. She could pull off some really amazing, insane stuff. I was watching somebody playing today that they had like a 30 damage turn with domino. It was nuts. Like just it was people that didn't think that was possible, and there it was. I had to look her up. Yes. And but yeah, so that's when you get this game, just play out these heroes with just the decks they came with, because it is surprisingly good how they were created. Like, they're just, and I really think that when we play this on expert difficulty tomorrow night, these decks are going to actually work, and it's going to be okay. I think it's going to be really fun. Okay, so colors are spot on, it seems like. So this is teal, this is blue, orange, red. Cool. Awesome. As picture clears, the next question. Can you read stuff? Is it like, do I need to zoom in? Do I need to fix any angles? Do I need to change anything in that regard? That's another question I always have. You guys are going to help me improve the stream. That's what the goal of tonight is, to just make the stream better. Let's see. So we're going to talk about Cable for a few minutes here. He has some really awesome, like, okay, he's the one that wants to do side schemes, right? You can include any side scheme, any player side schemes in your deck, right? I think the sweet spot is 5 or 6. I can tell who is who, but I'm not sure what the card says. Right. That is something I sort of expected, because I am really zoomed out. So, like, this is like the playmat, and you can currently see the entirety of the playmat, right? Like, that's the whole length of my arm, basically, from shoulder to end. So that's like almost 3 feet. So yeah, I think I could zoom in. I could bring it in closer. Let's see what that looks like. Hello, Jacob. Good to see you. Welcome. We're just kind of improving late night gaming stream today. I use a secondary camera with a green mat. I know you do. I know you do, because I saw that. I figured that out last night when we were playing, and that was such a good game last night. I loved it. I loved it. I loved being Gambit while you guys were playing Cable and Domino. I thought it was so cool that he was able to just pop in there, and I felt like I did a good job at controlling minions so that you guys could do your awesome things. I felt like that was my goal, and I did well. Improving and ranting. Yes, that is what I am doing today. Improving and ranting. Welcome. I hope you enjoy just talking. That's what we're doing. Gameplay is tomorrow, so be sure I'll throw in a thing. Yeah. So what I was saying was, I figured that out last night when you put the card up, and it was like all zoomed in, you could see what was going on. I thought that was a really cool. The problem is I only have 2 cameras, that one and that one, and that one there is my face camera, and that one there is the top down. Oh, what I was gonna do, I was gonna zoom in, and I think someday when I have, actual money to spend on something, I can. So I'm gonna try and zoom in, and see what kind of difference that makes. Our goal is to make this as, oops, not that button. There we go. Okay. Our goal is to make this as cool and clear as possible. That's the plan, right? Okay. So configure video. Let's do this. All right. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit, and we'll see what you guys think. Yes, you're moving with me. All right. So that cuts off like the bottom. So now we're like just above the words of the mat, and it cuts down a little bit at the top and cuts in on the sides. So now we're kind of here-ish, halfway across the deck. Yeah, so it kind of crunches things a little bit. Is that better or worse, or should it stay the way it was, is the question. That's what I would like to know. Oh, thank you, Descry. I am glad I'm not alone in my rant. I don't have this yet, and I want to play them so bad now. Are you planning on getting it? Is the question. Is it a plan? Like, do you have it set that at some point you're going to get this because you think these heroes are really awesome and you want to try them out? I feel like this needs to back up. Okay, so let's try that. Let's see what that looks like. Tell me what you guys think of this. And see, it seems like if it's back to its original, you have a bigger play area. Okay. Okay. Cool. I'm gonna start a GoFundMe. I don't even know how to do GoFundMe's. I don't know how any of that stuff works. I don't know any of that stuff. I have the hardest time just making this work, honestly. Okay. I'm going to put this back to the fully zoomed out way that it was because I also feel like that was better. Just more area. Also, doing the two-player game with Steele over here, it does give more real estate and more viewing of what's happening with everything. Also, I put the numbers up for people to be able to track easier. So like this would be, whoop, I'm going to move everything while I'm in the process of showing you stuff. Okay, so this would be like the threat, and then this other one would be on the villains, right? So then you see what the hit points are. You see what the threat level is on the main scheme at the very least. And then the other stuff is just like, okay, this is happening. I'm planning on getting it. I recently caught to all the drops, and then this next wave was net. Oh, okay. So you caught up to everything. You bought in. Did you like? How quickly did you buy in? That's the question, because there's a lot to buy into at this point in the game. That's it's really cool though. I like this is one of those games that you don't get tired of playing. Like it's like this is so cool, like how you can remember what um the experience was. That's the word. It's an arms race with the content creators. Is it though? I don't know if it is. Like, I feel like we are a good community of content creators with some outliers, but like I don't view like when you play a scenario before I can ever get to it. It doesn't bother me because I'm eventually going to get there. I'll eventually get to that scenario and I'll eventually play it. And people will watch it because they're interested in the content. They are interested in how does this hero work in this situation, or how is the deck build that they're using? Like what kind of crazy things are they going to do with their hero build there, you know? X-Men kind of made me get back into it all. Yes, the thank you. I'm glad you thought the ranting was awesome. Um, you got the core set in Strange and then took a year off and amassed the rest in like 6. Like, wow, that's awesome. And I think the cameras and lights, yes, I totally see that too, Jessica. Um, the the cameras and lights, they like I want to get to that level where my stuff is like visible and better. And I know it's there is a lot. Um, we talk about it on the Discord too. We have like a little content creators section, and we talk about like we help each other out and like figuring out, hey, I'm having trouble with my lighting. What do you guys do for lighting? And oh well, I do this to set up my lights, and I do this to set up my lights, and it's really really cool that we were able to like help each other out in that way. And I do enjoy that community that we have. Yeah, see, exactly like I was saying, the different angles everybody takes with different ideas, and I think I agree. It is very very cool to have this this discussion on the game, like just like these different ways of playing, and different ways, different takes on heroes that people don't like. If you watch D20 ever, he plays Valkyrie like mad crazy good. Like he's the Valkyrie guy, right? And I've mentioned this before, but like if you ever watch him playing Valkyrie, he is just so darn good with her. And he plays solo. He's not a multiplayer Marvel Champions player. You are not the black sheep, Descry. You definitely are not. Like I love playing with you because you go for the hardest stuff. Like you didn't even open up the next evolution box, and you were like, we're playing that on expert. Like, okay, awesome. And you play like the hardest villains on like expert 2 and stuff. Like it's nuts, and it's fun. It's super fun playing like that. Like, and we can win and we can lose, but it's like you learn something in the process. And sometimes you just carry the other player, and sometimes you just can't. Sometimes we're just doing 2 completely different things, and it just doesn't work out, you know? But it's so cool. And the different ways that you can build decks, like you were mentioning earlier, living for games. Yes. Different ways you can build decks, and it's cool when you can see content creators and how they build a deck and the way that they pilot that deck. Because sometimes you build a deck, you have this idea in your head, and you put it together, and you play that deck, and you're like, that did not work. It did not work the way I wanted it to at all, right? Because like I made a Doctor Strange deck, protection deck, and I think I have it on my YouTube page, but like I created the deck and I got totally smashed by the villain I was facing. And I don't know if it was the scenario I put together or the way I played the deck or the construction of the deck, but one of the 3 things was a problem, and it snowballed and I got defeated playing Doctor Strange. But like it was a learning experience. Like one of those things is a thing that I have to improve upon, right? And it's just really cool. You can watch people play this game and learn something from it. Just like, hey, that's a cool way of building that character, or that's a cool take on how that that deck is created. And we have two I'm gonna go, you guys, we're good here. We're gonna go back to my lovely face. Everybody likes watching my lovely face, right? That's what, we're gonna refresh that, and then everything should be okay. Cool. All right, back here, because we're just ranting and raving and being crazy people. This is what we're doing. But it's we have 2 new content creators, and one of them already has like 200 plus subscribers, but it's Villain Theory and Journeyman 2, and both of these guys are like the top-notch people that you want to go to when you're building decks. When you go to Marvel CDB, you're going to find Journeyman 2, and you're going to find Villain Theory decks like at the top of the list. The most popular ones, the best ones, they're going to be created by them too, right? And then there's several others, mine included, that are like down below them, but those guys always have like the 300 views, 300 likes, 300 this, 500 here, 700 there. You know, it's crazy how they like just are so in tune with this game. They can create decks that just sing for all the heroes that they create them for, and the ways that the deck works. They like lay out this whole thing about like, okay, so when you play this deck, you're looking for these cards and you got to do this thing to make this happen. And like just the thought process and all the effort that they put into creating these things is insane and really well done, and it helps you to better understand how to build decks, right? And I've used some of the knowledge that I've gleaned off of both of these guys to create my decks. Like if I'm playing an expert scenario, like even the way Deskry builds decks, he's here. Even the way Deskry builds decks, he builds them for like, what is the difficulty that I'm playing? And that's how I started looking at it, because it's like, you can build a really fun deck, but you got to be able to handle what the scenario is going to throw at you, right? And it doesn't always have to be what the villain and the modular set is going to throw at you. It's going to be the difficulty that you're facing, right? So if you're playing Expert Standard 2 or Expert 2, there's different cards that you absolutely have to bring with you to play those difficulties, right? So like Target Acquired, Spycraft, Black Widow Ally, Get Behind Me, stuff like that. Cards that you wouldn't normally think of, but in like a standard game, but when you go into that higher difficulty, they're cards that you really want to be like, I think this is something that I should put in here, right? Because if you don't, you might end up getting steamrolled by what you're up against, just because. And I noticed it today watching some of the games that were being played, that like, if you had only included this card, you would have stopped this surge train. If you had only included this card, you would have stopped the boost effect that kept continuing on because of the one that triggered first, right? So it's things that you really got to think about, like, what is the difficulty of what I'm facing versus what is the scenario I'm facing. So I don't build for the scenario anymore. I build for the difficulty that I'm going to go against, because that is how I'm going to win the scenario. Is I know there could be minions and there could not be minions, and that's like, I want to build a deck to fight minions, but what if there's no minions? Well, you can always use those cards to, you know, defeat the villain. It's fine. I built this deck for side schemes. There's not a lot of them. That's fine, because you could still just thwart the main scheme and you can use your cards for attacks and everything on the other side of it. But the difficulty is what's going to get you. Like, oh, here's the advance that's going to lose me the game. Well, how do you get around that? Well, you got the Black Widow ally if you're doing protection, or you've got the Get Behind Me, or you've got, you know, a built-in card that, like, you know, cancels that, you know, stuff like that. It's things that you got to think about to know that you're fighting a scenario that is going to be very difficult. Right. Venom Goblin is calibrating to the villain, but also that still the difficulty is like in play there, right? You know, if you're playing the last villain of a box, it's going to be a hard fight, right? You know, if you're going to do, yeah, so if you're doing like the last villain of the box, you're going to expect a lot of boost effects. You're going to expect a lot of high scheming or heavy attacks, you know? But what is the difficulty going to bring for you? Because that's the one that you're going to see the most of, is how often do you see certain cards when you're playing this difficulty? For whatever reason, there's certain cards that always show up and always hit somebody hard, right? What's that big one? that's on the expert set, and it like it's not the master plan that pulls a side scheme and adds threat and does all that stuff. It's the other one that like gets you an encounter card and surges as well. So you like you went from 1 card to 3 cards for your encounter phase. Like that's one of the ones. It's like that's gonna get me because I'm going to pull in advance, and then I'm gonna lose the scheme, and then I'm gonna have an assault, and I'm gonna lose my health, and then where are you now? Well, you could actually just lose the game from that 1 card. You know, it's so you got to think about that kind of idea. That's the mindset you should have when you're building your decks. And then the other thing is what they talked about was resources. Is this hero like heavy with resources? Are they already rich? Do they have them with their own resource generator? Like Domino can pretty much recycle a resource card. She could just keep using her one singular three-part resource card and just keep using it over and over for all of her things. It's crazy. You know what I mean? If you ever use like super hard modulars, you ever playing for them? Like I use Iron Spiders. Yeah, that's the thing. That falls under difficulty. That falls under difficulty because when you pull that modular, you're gonna see, okay, these cards have a bunch of boost effects. So they have the little star, and that means that they're gonna be doing stuff. And then these cards have, 3 and 4 boosts throughout. So whenever the villain attacks, if it's not gonna be a boost effect, it's gonna be a 3 booster. So their 2 attack is now 5 attack, that kind of thing. And that's what you gotta plan for when you're creating your deck. Is like, what is the villain going to throw at me? What kind of difficulty am I facing here? I have increased the difficulty by this modular set, and it's bringing this to the table. So now I got to start thinking about target acquired and... hold on. Oh, I'm talking so much, it's drying my throat. There you go, under fire. Thank you. Yeah, so when you see what they're bringing, it kind of sets you in motion. Like when we were playing last night, this scenario on Expert, we noticed that there was a lot of 3 boosters in there. And that's something that you like log into the back of your mind. These guys hit like trucks. That's exactly what I said. Like these guys hit hard. So when you play this scenario, this very first one out of the box, be prepared for big hits, okay? They're going to swing at you for 4 and 5 on their turn. So be ready for that. And that's what you're preparing yourself for. That's the difficulty that you're looking at, Yeah, that's basically it. That's how I look at it. Yeah. And I don't know, what else do you guys want to talk about? This is fun. I've not done this before. Just a complete rant and rave, and then fix cameras and lights and colors, and we'll just talk. Have a good time. This is our day. I won't keep you too much longer because I do want you guys to show up tomorrow and actually watch the actual game. Anybody else have coffee? I love coffee. I basically live off of coffee. Seriously. It's my breakfast. It's my midnight snack. I will drink it like all day long. D20 does it. He does do a lot of talk, but then he has a game also. I'm not doing a game because one, I'd have to like de-sleeve and sleeve up a new thing because I don't have enough sleeves. And 2, I have it all set up for the actual game for tomorrow, so I just want to keep it that way. Oh, maybe you guys want to talk about the Gambit deck. We could talk about that. This is the deck that I used last night on Duskar's channel. Check it out, super fun. Oh, awesome. I'm glad. I'm glad I'm not alone in this copy. How much do you usually play a character until you feel comfortable going into the upper difficulties? You know, it's really funny that you asked that. So I don't I don't play a certain character a number of times. What I did was I started feeling comfortable enough just playing the game that upping the difficulty made it more of a challenge for me, if that makes sense. It wasn't the heroes or the decks or anything in particular in that region. It was more the villain side. So like it wasn't like, oh, I played this hero a bunch of times and now I know how they work and that. It was more um I didn't feel the challenge of standard anymore. Like I started learning how things worked with it, and I needed more of a challenging approach to go against them, which is why I prefer the expert difficulty over the standard one, because I get more out of it. Um, I'll test the deck on standard just to see how it goes, and I'll be like, okay, this is good. This is how I want it to run. This is doing what I want it to do. And then I go to the expert scenario when I actually do the game, because I want to feel comfortable with the hero, but at the same time I want to feel the challenge of the game as well. Um, what are your thoughts on the villains of this box? So I can only speak for the very first one. So just the crew of Marauders for the first scenario. Reason being, it's the only scenario in this box that I have played. Um, I did it solo two-handed with the two heroes with their starter decks just to see how they played and what the scenario was. And by doing so, I figured out when I played last night that I played it wrong. So that was good. I only did it on standard and I did it off camera, and I figured out what was going on. So that way other people don't make the mistake that I did. And that is the fact that on this routed card, this one here, I'll show it to you upside down, but I hold it up here. Well, you can't see that because that's where the light is. But so on the bottom of this routed card, it says the villain activates against each player in player order. So every time that you defeat the villain and they get placed under routed, the next villain will immediately engage and attack all the players in player order. So what happened last night was I hit the villain with Gambit's staff for their one damage that they had left, defeated them, and then that next villain attacked all of our heroes, starting with Descry and working its way back down to Gambit. So then when that new villain attacked Gambit, I had my Professor X Defender to block that, and then it was the actual time for the villain to attack Gambit. It was a weird situation because he had, I don't know, maybe we played it wrong. I honestly can't say. I don't know. But see, I got 2 attacks in that round, and just it was really fun. But so yeah. So I can only talk about just the first scenario because it's all I've experienced. And I think they did a good job as an introductory scenario. I think this is a good one to use to teach people a little bit more complicated mechanics of the game, but also have a good time teaching somebody and bringing them into the game. I think that's something that this first scenario of this box did. It's very relatable to the experience you had with the I don't want to say the core set. Maybe, I don't know. I can't say, they're unique. I don't think they have anybody that you can really compare them to as far as a first scenario in a box. They learned from multiple other scenarios, and took that information and created their own thing. I think that's how I could best put it. And I think they did a good job, honestly. So like you had Mansion Attack, it was the fourth scenario. Yeah, it was Mansion Attack and then go to space. So the fourth scenario of Mutant Genesis was the Mansion Attack, and you had to go to a certain area, and then that was that main scheme, and you had the villain was randomly selected, right? So similar to that, you have random selected villain. Area doesn't matter, you're still in the same area. I like that they gave you a clock. So at the offset, the first main scheme, you have 3 turns. Basically, you have 3 turns to build your hero and get everything ready, so then you can fight the villain. Because once those 3 turns are up, the Morlocks are now your allies, and the Marauders are in, and they're attacking everybody. And that's basically how the scenario plays out. So use those 3 turns wisely. Use those 3 turns to get some hits on the villain, while also building your board state. And these 2 heroes are very happy to build board state. It's what they want to do. Cable is really, 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 really good once he's built. He needs to get there. So you need to buy Cable time to get there, basically, right? And Domino can basically do it just super fast. She's just doing her thing. It's crazy how fast she works. They are really well-made heroes, though. People think that Cable's going to be like a one-trick pony. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think there's a deck out there in every aspect for him. Also, so people do tier lists, right? And they're like, oh, Cable is like, mid A, and Domino is like low S or whatever. I don't do tier lists. I can't do it because every hero is different in their own way, and every hero can be made supremely well to work in the situation that you want them to work in. And so I don't feel like a tier list does them justice, right? Because like Doctor Strange is, everybody says, oh yeah, he's S1, he's the top. Nobody can beat him. He's the best, right? But it's like he's fun and he's a good hero to me. I like him. I think he's super fun to play, right? But I wouldn't say that he's unbeatable. I wouldn't say that he can beat everybody. I don't think that that's a thing. Every hero has that ability. I love playing Hulk, for crying out loud. He's one of my favorite heroes in this game, and everybody bags on him. But I think Hulk is a powerhouse, man. That dude can swing for like 23 damage if he wants to. Like, if you can build the deck to do that thing, he's gonna do it, and he's gonna do it well, right? So like, don't do the tier list because it's fun, it's enjoyable, getting somebody's input on how they feel a hero's rate for them, but always take it with a grain of salt, and have fun with them, because that's what you're here to do. You're here to experience these characters in this story that you're playing. Hulk is so fun, and Doctor Strange is like, when you play Doctor Strange, it's like you're Doctor Strange. You are playing the Sorcerer Supreme. You really are. And when you're playing Hulk, you may not feel like the Hulk, but you have a good time doing what you do best, basically, and that's just smash everybody. I have been able to create Hulk decks that can just ready constantly, and I felt like that was his strength. I feel like that's how you want to play that hero, is play into that strength of being able to be ready to do everything all the time, right? And there's ways out there that you can make it so that Hulk can thwart, you can do a Justice Hulk and thwart through Justice cards and use Hulk to just smash everything. You can do Doctor Strange with protection, which he comes with, and actually like make it so that everybody at the table is safe to do everything that they want to do. Like, these are the things that you can bring to the table with these heroes that, oh, Doctor Strange can do this so well. Play into that. Make it so that Doctor Strange does his thing that he does so well, right? If you want Cable to blast everybody with his plasma rifle and do, 11 to 20 damage with his side scheme stuff, well, make it happen, because that's his thing. Play into the strengths of the hero and you're gonna have a blast, because that's what you want to do. Why would you want to play against the strengths of the hero? Why put a hero that's not suited for, defending all the time as the defender for the thing? Like, it hinders. You're like putting a cinder block on their back and telling them to do a thing. Like, that's just my take on it. It's how I look at it. Like, you're gonna have a lot of fun if you play into the strengths of what the hero is trying to do to begin with. And the other thing you can do is play to their shortcomings. So the hero deck is going to do all this stuff, then you can take the aspect to shore up the difference. And the only time you really want to do something like that is if you're playing solo, right? If you're playing Hulk solo, you're going to want to play Justice, and you want to bring the stuff to make it so that you don't have to worry about threat through Justice, right? Or you can decide, okay, I'm going to play Doctor Strange. So what do I have to do for that? Well, there's going to be a bunch of minions. So how do you control the minion problem? Well, there's multiple ways. You could do Doctor Strange leadership and bring a bunch of allies to cover the minion problem. You could do Doctor Strange aggression and do a bunch of multiple hit aggression cards to... Oh, thank you. Yes. I appreciate that very much. I noticed today I was at like 108. I was like, whoa, this is crazy. Like, what happened? We hit 100 right after my son did a stream. He was here during the day and he did a stream. And I thought that was super cool that we hit 100 off of his stream. I was like, that's neat. That's cool. He goes, you're never going to forget that happened. I said, no, I'm not. I'm not going to forget that your stream hit us 100. That was great. And it took 10 months, I think, to hit that number. And I think it's super cool that there's over 100 people that want to watch me play a game that I enjoy playing and sit here and talk about it right now. Hi, everybody. I'm just sitting here talking about this game. Yeah, I lost track. I have like my brain is going off in all directions. You think it'll be a long time, and then next thing you know, you're already there and you don't even realize it. Like, there's sometimes you just hit a spot and it just like skyrockets overnight. You look and next thing you know, you have like 75 when you were at like 5 the day before, It's what I noticed. And then other times it'll hit a low and you'll have like a low number for a very long time and then it'll pick up again. I don't know. I guess need more coffee. Yes, I have it in my hand. I don't know. I forgot what I was talking about. Aspects, shoring up the difference. Doctor Strange and minions and doing aggression. Yeah. So you could play like a Doctor Strange aggression and pull all the cards that are going to do hitting multiple minions. And that's how you can help control the game and the board state. Yeah, it took me a minute to catch up to myself. But so those are just two examples, right? What I find myself doing a lot is I will just sit there and create decks on Marvel CDB, and then I'll play in my head a scenario and use the keys on the Marvel CDB. So like, here's your alter ego hand. Here's the 6 cards that you're going to start with, right? And then like, okay, well, I don't want these ones. This is not what I want in my starting hand, so I'm going to select those as getting discarded, and then I'll draw whatever for my mulligan. And then I'll play a few hands in my head through the app, just trying to see how the deck would play out, right? And another thing that you can try if you're just on the go and you're just on your phone, it takes a little bit to get used to, but I'll tell you what to use because it's cool. So there's 2 of them actually. So you have the Marvel Simulator, so you can go to that. You can just Google it and it'll pop right up. You click on it and go there. But you can go to the Marvel Simulator and enter your deck ID and set up a scenario for yourself, and it'll do an AI rendition of that scenario. It'll take like 5 to 10 minutes for it to pull up a whole scenario. You can read through the whole thing and see how the deck plays out. Now take that one with a heap of salt, because the AI is not a person, and you can build a deck to do a certain thing, and the AI is like gonna do its own thing completely. It doesn't see the cards that you put in the deck as like, these are like a thing that I want this deck to do. It sees, this is what the problem is right now, and this is what I'm going to do to fix it with the cards that I currently have. And then it like has foreknowledge of what's coming also. So you gotta really watch what that one is doing. But there's also the card table app. Okay, check that one out. You can Google it. I don't know if it's here anywhere anymore. Let me see. Yeah. Okay. So it's called cardtableapp.com. Very simple, right? And what that is somebody went ahead and created created a site that you can play Marvel Champions on online without needing the computer, without needing Tabletop Simulator, without needing anything. You can do it on the thing, and you just, here's my deck, and I can do a scenario on my phone through just the Safari web browser, and it's a great way for you to get a good handle on how the deck is going to work. It's something you can do if you just, on your lunch break, or you're waiting for somebody at the doctor's office or whatever. It's something you can just pop up and just try out, because you never know how a deck is going to work until you try it, right? And the only way you can try it is by actually playing it, and the only way you can play it is by, playing it. So, yeah. So check that out. It's card table app, and the Marvel Simulator. And those are 2 ways that you could test out your decks and see how they do in a situation. And I think, I don't know. I think I'm all talked out now at this point. Any other questions? Cool. This is like an Ask Me Anything kind of thing going on. What else? My son's favorite character is Gambit, I think. Gambit and Venom were his 2 big ones. My daughter loves Rocket, and I think she was having a good time with Phoenix. She's a little hard to get your mind around. It's a little difficult to play. No, thank you, Alan. I'm glad you like him. Um, it's just yeah, things that I've used that I feel like is good to play around with. Um, yeah, Gambit is super fun. If you haven't played him and you don't have him, check him out. He's really fun. Like if you ever watched the cartoon or read the comics, you see, or even seen the Wolverine movie that he was in. He, you know, throws cards and charges up stuff, and he uses playing cards because they're the cheapest thing to get a hold of to charge and throw, right? That's why he uses playing cards. It's not a. It's like much easier to carry around a pack of 50 whatever playing cards than it is to bring around a bunch of tennis balls or softballs or golf balls or whatever, Obviously, you could throw those a lot farther, but you don't have 50 something of them. You don't have a big pouch of balls just hanging out over here so that you can just grab one and charge it up and throw it at somebody. But you have a deck of cards, just right? It's a great idea. I love how they thought of that when they were creating him, But in the game, they tapped into that. One thing that I gotta say I'm disappointed in is they didn't make the staff thing that you can do hit a character for 1 damage with it. They didn't make that an attack, and by not making that attack, you can't use his charged ability on it. I feel like they could have done something with that, because that's a thing that he does. He charges his staff and does a thing with it. Like, it's a big thing that he can do, and they didn't play into that in any way whatsoever. He can charge anything up with energy and use it as a weapon. It's basically what he does, right? And he does like this mega staff slam, and they don't have a card for that at all. They just have him with the staff, and you can deal 1 damage to somebody. I that was a big miss with Gambit. But other than that, he's very, very good. I played him in Aggression last night, and he was awesome. He handled the minion problem. As soon as they came up, he was getting rid of them. I even told them outright, I was like, "Yep, that one's going to be gone." And that was just down to deck build, right? It wasn't even just his cards doing it. It was just how I built the deck. So I included a bunch of low-cost, multi-damage cards, or cards that were going to heal him in the process of dealing the damage out. And the reason being was that was how I wanted him to play. I wanted him to be able to control the threat of minions and deal damage to the villain in the process, but not using overkill, like just controlling the situation in that regard, while the other two were able to do their things to handle everything else, threat and villain-wise. And I feel like it worked out really, really well. Like, it was good control of everything in that game. And that was just down to how we built our decks. Now, what I've noticed in this game is if you are a very... if you play this game a lot, right? You learn a lot of things about it and how to play it. To where you need more interesting deck ideas, I guess, or interesting villain setups or whatever, because you basically just know exactly what you built and how to make it work, and that maybe you're missing a little bit of that mystical aspect of it. I don't know. Sometimes it feels that way. Sometimes you get so good at something that you want to just move away from it and do something else. So there's some decks that I've created that I won't go back to, like, so I just don't. I want to experience something different with that hero, like I made a rogue deck that used leadership and guardians, and it was super cool, and I loved it. I played it often enough. whenever I was going to use Rogue. That's the deck that I used. And then I was like, I need her to do something else. I need to create a deck that does something else for her, right? I haven't played a lot of Gambit, and I didn't play him in Aggression, so that was the deck that I created for this one, because I felt like I needed to. And I love how it came out. And what else? I don't know. I think that's it. That's all I got. I'm going to call it a night here, guys. Thank you for joining me for all of my ranting and raving and just general discussion of this game. And I hope you guys have a great night. And I hope when you get your next evolution, you go ahead and play it and try it out and experience the greatness that is Cable and Domino and this whole scenario box, because it's going to be an experience. I'm looking forward to kicking it off tomorrow, and I'm looking forward to continuing on the rest of the campaign just to experience what the story is that they're laying out for us. Because that's the other thing I forgot to mention. So when they make these waves, right? This is the mutant wave. It's not just this box. It started with Mutant Genesis. And the story is continued with this box, and then they're going to continue it again into the next box. And so 3 boxes in a row are going to be, 1, 2, 3 is their full story that they're trying to tell through the campaigns, right? And it's just very similar to how they did the first set, right? So they did the Rise of Red Skull, Guardians of the Galaxy, and then Mad Titan's Shadow. And it was a story that they were trying to tell with the Infinity Gems and the Infinity Gauntlet and all of that stuff. And you experienced it. The Rise of Red Skull, they were doing the was it the Power Stone? Reality Stone? One of the stones. I think it was the Reality Stone. Yeah, because he changed everything. So the Rise of Red Skull was the Reality Stone. And then the next one was the Power Stone and Ronin and the Guardians and fighting and all that. And then the final one is the, Thanos and the Gauntlet. And, Loki with the Gauntlet for some reason. So sorry. Oh, that caught me in the back. And then, so this is this new wave is mutants and the story they're trying to tell with them. So the Mutant Genesis was introduction of the X-Men to this game, and they're doing they're fighting the Brotherhood, they're fighting Magneto at the end, and it was a really super cool story. And now it's continued in this one. And when you start this first scenario, they actually mention like what's happened before that got you to this point, kind of thing, right? And it's cool how they did that, how they're tying it all together to create their nice story through the 3 boxes. So I can't wait to see what the next box is going to be, but I can wait, because I will wait for FFG to give us the information and the hype and the spoilers from them. I'm not going to go anywhere else for it. And that's it. That's all I got. So you guys have a good night, and I will see you tomorrow night. And thank you for joining me. And I appreciate each and every one of you for subscribing and liking and doing all that cool stuff. And thank you for listening to me for all of this time. And yeah, you're awesome, everybody. Thank you.